Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. Now, I don't normally cover these kinds of videos pertaining to E3 and things like that, but a friend of mine did honestly want me to make a video talking about E3 and I suppose game reveal conventions in general and what I think of them. So this is going to be just that, my thoughts on E3 as well as any other game convention reveal. Now, I'm someone who doesn't really get hype for games anymore. I know that this is rather interesting, but I find that due to the whole kind of internet culture when it comes to gaming and the critique channels that plague YouTube right now, just heavily biased reviews claiming that they're looking out for the consumer while at the same time looking out for the views, as well as the monetary means that they can achieve in their pockets, I don't really get excited when I see games because I'm like, oh, great. I'm obviously certain that this is going to have a bit of controversy and whatnot. And you can see it. You can see it happening with certain games right now that are being hyped because, people are really excited, and I don't really think that there's anything wrong with that. However, the excitement gets to a point where they are feeling entitled to that is what the game is supposed to be, it's supposed to fit my niche and whatnot, and I understand that they want the game to be good. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But to believe that you are somehow entitled for a game to fit your exact niche is kind of where I'm getting a bit confused with that mentality. As there are quite a few people, which I'll just give a few examples, in terms of Final Fantasy VII's remake, that are already, like saying, oh, if it's not like this, blah blah blah, then it's a bad game, and things like that, even though it's essentially just going to be Final Fantasy VII in a live action combat, which is something that I've heavily disliked about the earlier Final Fantasy games, which is, that it's not live combat. So, the fact that someone's already jumping to the conclusion that this is going to be an issue really tells you something about this kind of generation, so to speak, when it comes to how they see games and stuff. And it also shows you the influence that a lot of this, like, early critique channels, and before they even get gameplay, even if the game's out, because they'll usually steal gameplay, just saying, they're already, jumping to the conclusion that this game is bad and whatnot. And my issue with this is, for one, you're hyping yourself up to assume that this product is supposed to be what everything that you want it to be, right? Then usually this person is the same person that goes to these critique channels to see what they think, and usually it's not necessarily so much to see what they think, it's more of to confirm your own opinion. So when you go to these E3 events, you've already probably watched a few critique videos and you're like, well, this game's probably gonna suck. I'm just gonna wait till I get my hands on it. But this one, because they didn't critique it because they don't really see the controversy that it might have yet, that's just automatically a good game and it's supposed to fit everything that I want it to in a game. Now, once again, I'm not saying that a game should not do this. I am just saying that the belief that a game is supposed to fit your every niche, like, I can't help but feel like there's some sense of entitlement in a lot of these gamers today. And no one's saying that you don't deserve a good product, but believing that you deserve some kind of perfect product that's going to cater to every need that you have as a gamer is just strange to me. Also, like I said, I don't really get hyped up for like E3 and any other massive reveal. Like, we can look at Call of Duty, like the whole release thing. Right now, I'd say that games, while I am nowhere near like the level of bias and negativity as displayed by certain critique channels, I still understand that, games excuse me, nowadays, you have to be incredibly wary. Like, there's so many games out here just trying to steal your money. They give you some half-finished product, and it's nothing that it looked like in the trailer, let alone what is presented at these E3s, which is honestly my biggest point that I'm trying to get across in this video. People get on the hype train and they're riding it pretty darn good, right? Pause on that. And they don't realize that there's some kind of a pattern here when it comes down to these games that are being shown off, more or less, at these, big reveal events compared to the actual product that you get. There's like a huge difference. It's like that game that they're showing off appears to be more polished. There's not really many glitches that you get that they find. Even if the glitches are like just boom, like very easy for a player to spot right away when they get their hands on it, when it's presented, you never see this. You never see the level of frame drops. You never see like a crash or something. But at these events, it's like that just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist for them. And this leads me to something that I'm kind of going to say. I just want to say something about this. Like, I feel like there's like 2 versions or 3 versions, right, of a game that gets shown off. There's like the developer version that they make to, like code and, design updates and test things out. Then there's the version we get, and then before like the game goes, live for everyone, there's the publisher version. There's the marketing version, as I like to call it, where the resolution is incredibly good and the frame rate's phenomenal. There's no bugs. It's super polished. The graphics are clean. The gameplay's clean. Everything seems to flow better on the presentation than the actual player's experience. The game presented is usually a more refined and polished product, while the games that the customer usually receives aren't nearly as refined. Now, this isn't necessarily a conspiracy theory or anything, but I just cannot help but feel that there's no possible way that they're showing off the same products. There just has to be something different that they're doing. They have to be at least showing some kind of a developer model. Like there's no possible way that that is the same game that they make for us, because if that's the case, when they're showing all of this off, where are the glitches? Where's the frame rate drops? Where's the crashes, right? And I'm not saying that all games, that we get our hands on as consumers are those things. I'm heavily against the whole, all games are bad view that a lot of critique channels have these days. What I am saying, however, is for some reason, it's like there's like a marketing scheme here, like there's a really refined version, and then there's the version that we get. And that really refined version seems to have everything like insured to make sure that there's no bugs, no like lag, no frame rate drops, no anything. But the version that we tend to get appears to be just of a lesser quality. It just feels like a half-done product. And it can get better, but they usually just like let it get better in terms of like patches and whatnot. It's not something that we'll see the improvement of immediately. So my whole stance on VR is not VR, excuse me. I don't know what the heck I'm thinking. But my whole stance on E3 as well as game reveals is I don't really care, so to speak. I know that this isn't necessarily the video that you wanted, but I just feel like it's just a marketing scheme, more or less. Like, they're here showing you this game, and they're like, oh, look at these graphics, look at these trailers, and blah blah blah. And then you actually get the gameplay, and it's like just a severe downgrade. Like, there's such a difference, and it doesn't take much to see here. When we look at like some older games, like I'll encourage you, like, right in your spare time, guys, look at like the older trailers for maybe what, Anthem. I know that's gonna be a whole lot of people's treat right there because they love, crapping on the game because of how bad it is. But look at the trailers and like the early gameplay of Anthem, and then look at the gameplay that Anthem players had. Look at the levels of lag. Look at the crashes. Look at like the early hub area. Look at the sheer difference in the product that we got. They have to have like separate versions of these games. That's why I just don't trust these presentations and game reveals. I need to see gameplay. I can't put my trust in a trailer. It's good that that's there because it at least announces that, oh, this is what we're working on. But for a lot of people to just blindly put their trust in this, I really feel like that's an issue, and they get themselves so hyped up for failure, like, you have to be wary these days. It's insane to me, the level of concern that players can show for like certain games like Call of Duty. Excuse the barking, guys. Excuse the barking. That must be my neighbors or something. But it's amazing to me the level of concern that they can show for something like Call of Duty or, like EA games because of the microtransactions. But when it comes down to like a lot of games, it's just like, swept under the rug. I don't seem to understand. They see the pattern, like the downgrades and whatnot. I just don't get it. Nonetheless, that's what I had to say about E3. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Forgive me once again for the dogs. I don't know what's going on, but that's what happens when you live in a closed community. So that's just what we have to deal with. If you are interested, feel free to subscribe. It's your choice. It would help me, considering how YouTube's a broken platform, though, so feel free to if you're interested. And as always, rate the video what you think it deserves. Tell me what you'd like to see in the future in the comments below. Feel free to watch another video, as you will see by this end screen, and I will see all of you in the next one. Take care.